Let's go ahead and call our regular council meeting of Monday, June 16th, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have of serving you. We pray that you watch over us, give us the guidance and the direction we need to go, and help us to be frugal, but get things done in a proper rate, Lord. We pray that you give all of us the integrity and the justice that we need to do your work. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, does the council entertain a motion to approve the agenda?
Approve the agenda.
Second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Does the council entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2025?
So moved.
Go ahead.
Second.
We have a motion, properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Do we have any nominations for recognition, council?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead and turn.
For Ken Ator, no one outside Pinnacle Bank. Is that where he was there? Mowing all the city grass, or the grass around there along the highway, along the park.
I noticed it was mowed. That was him.
That was him, did it free, used his own equipment.
Okay. And what was his name?
Ken Ator.
Ken Ator?
Everybody knows him as Ray Hader.
You'll have you'll get some more information to that correct. Okay, is there any more nominations for recognition? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to certificate of recognition for Scott Thompson. So we'd like to present this certificate of recognition for you, Mr. Thompson. We sure do appreciate you painting the cross at the cemetery. It was noticed by a lot of citizens, and we just really appreciate activity like that. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, moving on to citizens business verbal, and there was a little bit of confusion about if there was going to be folks present, so some of your stuff got moved to citizens business in writing. But if the council has any questions for you guys, or you wanted to say anything, then you're more than welcome. So we'll go ahead and move on to citizens business in writing. Bruce Perkins. 24-hour catering permit for the all schools reunion. So, 24-hour catering permit, state of Wyoming, county of Weston. That under and by the virtue of provisions of section 12-4-502, subsection B of the state of Wyoming alcoholic beverage control laws, the city of Newcastle, county of Weston, state of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $20 paid by Bruce Perkins doing business as Perkins Tavern of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Bruce Perkins, doing business as Perkins Tavern to sell alcoholic and malt beverages in and upon the premise of the Perkins Tavern sidewalk for an event more specifically described as follows: all school reunion. This license for catering permit is for the term of 1 day only, beginning on the 5th day of July, 2025 at 9 a.m. through the 6th day of July, 2025 at 9 a.m. Does the council entertain a motion to approve the 24-hour catering permit for Perkins Tavern?
That moves that we approve the 24-hour catering permit for Bruce Perkins in his cabin.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. You got your permit.
Thank you.
Bruce.
Just one.
Okay, moving on to item number 2 under citizens business and writing. Bruce Perkins 24-hour catering permit for classic summer drags. 24-hour catering permit, State of Wyoming, County of Weston, that under and by the virtue of the provisions of section 12-4-502, subsection B of the State of Wyoming Alcoholic Beverage Control Laws, the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, State of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $20 paid by Bruce Perkins, doing business as Perkins Tavern of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Bruce Perkins, doing business as Perkins Tavern to sell alcoholic and malt beverages in and upon the premise of the Perkins Tavern sidewalk for an event more specifically described as follows: classic summer drag. This license for catering permit is for the term of 1 day only, beginning on the 18th of July, 2025 at 9 a.m. and through the 19th day of July, 2025 at 9 a.m. Does the council entertain a motion to accept the 24-hour catering permit for Perkins Tavern for the classic summer drag?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
I have. Isn't this a 2-day event?
Yes, sir. 1 day, they're closing off the streets downtown. The next day, the street's gonna be open, but the drags will be out there on the bypass the next day. I'm not catering out there on the streets to them with the drags. I'm just gonna do it downtown only.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe the event is starting on the 18th and then it ends on the 20th or the 21st.
That'd be,
I don't know, is that Friday or Saturday? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna close up on Sunday, but I'm not 100%. Both the catering permits for the 18th and 19th for 24 hours. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. You got another permit.
Trying to get things done.
All right.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, Pizza Barn 24-hour catering permit for the American Legion statewide event. So, 24-hour catering permit, State of Wyoming, County of Weston, that under and by virtue of the provisions of section 12-4-502, subsection B of the State of Wyoming Alcoholic Beverage Control Laws, the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, State of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $20 paid by Pam Waltieri, doing business as Pizza Barn of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Pam Gualtieri doing business as Pizza Barn.
I apologize, there are typos in that, because it is not Pam Gualtieri.
Oh, it isn't Pam anymore, is it?
I am so sorry.
Okay,
Wow.
oh, and we need to get this done because it's here coming up.
Sandy, Sandy Martin.
Okay, can I just cross them off?
I'd have the council take a motion to amend.
I apologize for that.
Okay, so, council,
I move we amend the present request for 24-hour by Pam Gualtieri to Sandra Martin.
okay, so, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded to amend the 24-hour catering permit for the Pizza Barn, for the American Legion statewide event to replace Pam Gualtieri with Sandy Martin.
Where's there gonna be hearing?
Where's it gonna be held at?
Yeah.
So-
Weston County Event Center.
Yeah, the event
Oh,
center.
did you read that? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't get that far
Oh,
because we noticed that there was a typo in the name. Sorry, Sandy.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. We're gonna replace Pam on the catering permit and replace her with Sandy.
Now, where is it gonna be?
At the Weston County Event Center.
Okay, what day?
We'll get to that.
The motion was just to
Well, we
amend it.
just passed, okay, excuse me. Well, that was, we just passed the amendment. Okay, thank you. I thought I was losing it there, but I was.
That's okay. We got it fixed. So, let's try this again. 24-hour catering permit, State of Wyoming, County of Weston, that under and by virtue of the provisions of Section 12-4-502, subsection B of the State of Wyoming Alcoholic Beverage Control Laws, the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, State of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $20 paid by Sandy Martin, doing business as Pizza Barn of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Sandy Martin, doing business as Pizza Barn, to sell alcoholic and malt beverages in and upon the premise of the Weston County Event Center for an event more specifically described as follows: American Legion statewide event. This license for catering permit is for the term of 1 day only, beginning on the 20th day of June 2025 at 9 a.m. through the 21st day of June 2025 at 9 a.m. Council, do we entertain the motion to approve the 24-hour catering permit for Sandy Martin doing business as the Pizza Barn for the American Legion statewide event?
I have a question.
Hold your question, please. Do we have a second? We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
So,
Any discussion?
okay, I haven't had to do this myself for years, but like the process is that she has to get her letter from the county, since she is county, saying she's in good standing before she can get a permit. I'm just asking if that's happened.
Oh, yes. So, Clerk Haggerty has attached the letter from the County of Weston, First West Main Street, Newcastle, Wyoming. Would you like me to read the letter?
No, okay, the letter's been done, it's been received, that's, you answered my question.
Okay. Thank you. Don, did you have something?
The only thing that would be is just in the, where it's, has an error, the confusion of the two owners of the license. I just want to be sure who it is, Sandra Martin, even though we're passing into this one here, just verifying this is.
I think it was in the letter. To Sandra Martin, manager of Pizza Barn.
You have something?
Yeah, I think it was pretty much answered that she has a current liquor license under her and not under, that was my question as well, but it sounds like that letter covers it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries for the 24-hour catering permit for the Pizza Barn to the American Legion statewide event.
This place is full of love. You can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, the activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Motion carries for the 24-hour catering permit for the Pizza Barn to the American Legion statewide event. Get that signed. Okay. Moving on to item number 5, Weston County School District number 1. Request for sweeper.
Wait, we missed
You
one.
skipped one.
Oh, I put a check mark where I shouldn't have put a check mark. Okay, back to number 4, I apologize. 307 Smoke and Vape Haven, 24-hour alcoholic beverage sales permit. So, 24-hour alcoholic beverage sales permit, State of Weston, or State of Wyoming, County of Weston, that under and by virtue of provisions of section 12-4-502, subsection A, and section 12-2-201, subsection B of the State of Wyoming alcoholic beverage control laws, the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, State of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $40 paid by Nicholas and Jennifer Weiberg, doing business as 307 Smoke and Vape Haven of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Nicholas and Jennifer Weiberg, doing business as 307 Smoke and Vape Haven, to sell alcoholic and malt beverages in and upon the premise of the 123 West Main Street, Newcastle, Wyoming, for an event more specifically described as follows: the all-school reunion. This license for catering permit is for the term of 1 day only, beginning on the 5th day of July, 2025, at 9 a.m., and through the 6th day of July, 2025, at 9 a.m. Does the council entertain a motion to accept the 24-hour alcoholic beverage sales permit?
Do they have a
They don't have to,
Oh, they don't. To just have, it's
just for the 1 week.
oh,
I didn't.
We could do that.
Clerk review, contacted the liquor license, and they're within all the guidelines.
So do we have a motion?
so moved.
Sorry. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
So this will be on 2 of the storefronts then, right inside yours and Bruce?
Pardon?
So I take it this is gonna be almost side by side of yours then? or you-
No, this is gonna be directly across the street with the graphic design.
Okay.
Then that's their gig.
Are you going into competition with him on the Bloody Marys? Just
No,
out-
no.
We're just doing just malt
Just beer and malt beverages,
Okay.
we're not doing anything else.
You gotta come to my place.
Okay, is there any discussion? Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. We just approved the 24-hour alcoholic beverage sales permit for 307 Smoke and Vape Haven with all school reunion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you guys. Okay. Moving on to properly checked number 5 on my agenda here. Weston County School District number 1, request for sewer averaging.
Thank you. You're welcome, thank you.
June 13th, 2025, for the city of Newcastle. Dear council members, Weston County School District number 1 is requesting the city council consider summer sewer averaging for our facilities. We certainly understand that we must pay for the water we use. As you know, when water usage goes up, the sewer costs also increase. In the 3 months during the summer, we have very little sewage use. We know that summer sewer averaging is allowed by the city, and we would like to request it for our facilities. We appreciate your consideration. Sincerely, Brad LaCroix, Superintendent, Weston County School District number 1.
I move that we allow that school district number 1 have sewer averaging for their summer months.
Second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
I kind of have a question. Why are we, if they have very little sewage, why are we averaging that? And they don't pay for any water. They do?
They do, and for their lawns.
But they do get a lot of free water.
Oh, they do.
They're not paying for the football field.
That's the only thing that they don't have. But I
That's
mean,
4-inch line.
That is true, but
Okay, okay.
Per grade.
I mean, it just says
Grade 7 is
here.
4-inch.
it's more for their lawns.
Okay.
So the sewer usage is based off of the total usage of water.
Right.
So when they're irrigating, they're gonna be using more water even though there isn't many people still working at their facilities.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's not where they're asking for free water. They're not asking
I
for free
understand that.
water on their yards.
I understand that, but they're asking us to discount their sewer, and they're getting a lot of free water. That's my point.
Would you explain how they're getting free water?
Let Greg explain it to you.
From my understanding, there was an agreement between the city and the school district years ago that we will not charge them for water for the football field.
I was also to understand that some of the water that goes to the aquatic center is also subsidized by the city.
Correct.
So there's 2 facilities that are subsidized by the city. So they're watering their lawn. And this has come up since I've been on the council. The meter project is gonna be really expensive to start metering the water that's used on the fields. And it was gonna be to the tune of like $60,000 to replace the vault and the meter and everything for that
Correct.
facility.
Last time we priced it was gonna be right around 60,000. That was 2 years ago. Prices have gone up some, so.
I'm just wondering if maybe we shouldn't just look at that. I understand it's expensive, but maybe look at that and see what weighs out, like how much water we are giving them versus the $60,000.
How are we gonna know?
I think they can somehow check to see how much water.
The only thing we can do is find out what size sprinkler heads they have, how many gallons per minute they are, and how many they're,
I mean, just curiosity's sake.
and how long they water. That's how we average, that's how we estimate what we use in commercial until we get our meters installed.
So will you look into that today, please? And then we'll have an idea how much water we're subsidizing. So,
You were suggesting that perhaps we fill the swimming pool for free too?
I was under the impression that we do subsidize the water to that facility, yeah.
Council, if I may, isn't the aquatic center, basically, they're not going to be funding it in the next fiscal year for the school district? So as in, there's not gonna be a pool anymore?
What?
It needed repair,
You know, they're looking for money in that to do a
to do some repair.
It was just a rumor, I just wanted to clarify.
I hope not,
That was an option they had,
yeah.
Okay.
they brought up.
Okay, the motion on the floor currently is whether the council is willing to approve summer sewer averaging. We'll go ahead and move forward. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay. I don't really like that word, but use it.
Okay,
Sounds like a horse.
we got one nay, and do we need a call roll? I didn't hear everybody vote. Did everybody vote? Okay. Motion passes. The school will get sewer averaging for the summer months. All right, moving on to citizens' business in writing. Number 6, Wyoming Department of Corrections, request for sewer averaging. So, dear honorable council members, I'm writing this letter to request that account 1490-00 be considered for the reduction in sewer charges for 7 months of the year. It has come to my attention that Wyoming Conservation Camp was considered for this program previously, and we would like to continue participating. During the summer months, we do water extensive facility lawns and have a productive garden that there's a typo, it says that us, just under 2 acres. We use that as a supplemental food source for our kitchen. All of the water we consume is not returned in sewage. Please consider Wyoming Honor Conservation Camp for the November through March gallons used divided by 5 months and use that figure for the sewer charges. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Warden Todd Martin. So that's very specific in the verbiage in the, because we have our own formula in place to average the, so I guess the premise of the letter is to ask for sewer averaging.
And their lowest consumption months, is that it?
Yeah. That's how we do it.
Yeah, we average from the November through March.
Okay. So
That's what he did too.
does the council entertain a motion to approve the summer sewer averaging for the Wyoming Honor Conservation Camp? We have a motion. Second. Properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Tom. You had discussion there.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
Oh, okay. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. So the Honor Conservation Camp will get averaged sewer billing for the summer months. So, moving on to old business, item number 1. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. Item number 1, ordinance number 4, series 2025, repealing ordinance section 17-14. Ordinance number 4, 2025, an ordinance repealing ordinance section 7-14 of Newcastle Town Code, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Newcastle, Weston County, Wyoming, section 17-14 of the Newcastle, Wyoming Municipal Code be repealed in its entirety, and from the date of execution of this ordinance be of no further force and effect. We have a motion to approve ordinance number 4, series 2025. On second reading, I believe this is the second reading.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Seconded, properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Do I need to sign it on second reading? Next time. Okay, moving on to old business, item number 2, ordinance number 5, series 2025, repealing ordinance section 17-27. Ordinance number 5, series 2025, an ordinance repealing ordinance section 17-27 of the Newcastle Town Code, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Newcastle, Weston County, Wyoming, section 17-27 of the Newcastle, Wyoming Municipal Code be repealed in its entirety, and from the date of execution of this ordinance be of no further force and effect. Do we entertain a motion, council, to approve ordinance number 5, series 2025 on second reading?
I move to approve ordinance number 5, series 2025 on the second reading to repeal ordinance section 1727.
Second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Repealing ordinance section 17.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Motion carries. Repealing ordinance section 17. Okay. Moving on to new business. We have a commercial application for membership and electric service agreement. This was sent to Clerk Haggerty, the City Council, and it's already passed the county, and they've gotten their signatures on it. It's an agreement with Powder River Energy Corporation, and I just need the council's approval so that I can sign it and send it to the county.
I move we allow our mayor to sign this agreement with the commercial application for membership and electric service agreement with Powder River Energy Corporation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have something. Where, I thought the city was under Rock Hills area instead of Powder River.
There's some,
Is there something?
Mr. Mayor, I mean,
Go ahead.
Saddle subdivision, all of that is actually Powder River.
Okay.
we have been crossing the landfill number 1, and we have covered services going up north.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, reading through this, this looks like it's for the airport. This looks like it's for service for the airport, the Weston County Airport Service.
I believe this is for part of the expenses, like that we do help pay for the airport. Through the county sends us the airport billing. And I believe this is probably for that.
This is just another example of how we probably need to figure out exactly how responsibility falls and everything for the airport board in Mondale Field. 'Cause I mean, that's all come under scrutiny recently, and I don't know if anybody's come up with any answers. Has any of the board committee members had any further discussions with the airport board?
I'm going to their meeting on the 25th.
Okay. It would be a little less convoluted if they actually formed themselves a special district, an airport district, and started levying mills and running under their own scheme, because this is what we've been doing for years, and it would probably be a little less complicated if we actually had answers as to what our responsibility was. Was there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna have to take a roll call on this one. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed.
I didn't get all that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed signify by saying nay
Nay.
and raise your hand. 2 nays, rest ayes, motion passes. Member of the chairman.
Yeah, so the other thing I just wanted to point out, the commercial application for membership in electric service agreement, it's one thing, and then you have the other portion of it, which is also, if I recall, its own thing, and then they also have an easement and right-of-way agreement with a memorandum on the back. And as it applies to agreements, we can't all, under the guise of voting for the application agreement being, moved upon by the council. I guess, Greg, do you know anything, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, about, is the purpose of this just so that they have access to, for ingress and egress into the airport portion of it to service this, or?
I haven't even reviewed that agreement, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Councilwoman McCauley, would you like to make a motion on that? And
Well, I
then,
just think there's too many questions right now. People aren't really sure what this is all about, so maybe we should table this.
and give it to the attorney for further scrutiny.
Yeah, I make a motion that we table this.
Okay, so we would need to repeal the motion to sign, wouldn't we?
Or are these two different things we're agreeing on?
There's multiple things. I mean, by definition, the city didn't sign the memorandum of easement and right-of-way agreement. that in and of itself, I can take a look at that. That is separate from the motion. They also have, you're on, I should still table it.
Yeah, this is completely separate. Nathan Todd already signed that.
Right, right, so
This. Signature for you on this as well, and that is for easement right-of-way agreement. Which easements and right-of-way agreements. Frankly, I think you'd be fine to table the easement and right-of-way agreement, and then also
yeah, it just sounds like none of us know what we're signing.
the memorandum of easement and right-of-way agreement.
So, Councilman McCauley would need to move to table the memorandum of easement and right-of-way agreement.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, so we just passed the commercial application for membership and electric service agreement.
That's all my motion was.
Okay, so this portion's passed and signed. Yes. And then here's the portion that will be tabled. Okay. Since we moved to table, there's no discussion on the tabled portion, so we'll go ahead and move on to committee and council member reports.
But we did table it, right?
Oh, we need to move on the table. So, we had a motion to table. Was there a second? We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Oh, there is no discussion. It's a movement to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries to table until the next regular scheduled meeting. Okay. Now, moving on to committee and council member reports. First item was I received a resident complaint for the dust on Poplar Street. This particular resident wanted us to look at the cost of mag chloride again. And then they explained to me the process of applying mag chloride and how when you blade it, if you blade it wet, that it won't get rid of the mag chloride if you wet it down again. So if we did need to blade it, then we could wet it down. But I would just like you to look at the cost again.
Mr. Mayor, when we looked at it for Sage Street, we were looking at about $1,500 if they had a project in the area.
Okay.
And we could split mobilization costs. Otherwise, there's mobilization. And then it would be around $8,000 to $10,000.
Wow.
That's
Specialized truck, water truck, and application truck, stuff like that. We would also have to commit to providing the water truck, because we have to wet it first, they mag it, we blade it, we roll it. And I think they mag it again. So it would take 3 or 4 of our guys, and we don't have a roller big enough to do it. We have to rent one. If I'm understanding correctly. Because he was talking about needing to roll it. He talked about the counties, they have walk-in rolls, they pull the iron blades. He says that's good enough. But we don't even have that. We have a 4-foot wide roller. So.
Is it still the same steel face roller that you had when I worked there?
Yeah, no, we haven't replaced that much equipment.
Okay. So, is it any, like, if the county had a mag chloride project, is it something that we could maybe get in on?
When I talked to the contractor, they recommended, yes, we could, but it would be on their timeline.
Okay.
So if they didn't have a project till August, we wouldn't be able to do this till August unless we wanted to pay for mobilization. And we still have to have the time to commit 3 employees to work with them at the same time.
Okay. So it just doesn't seem like a very feasible plan.
You know, if we did several of them, yeah, but I'm not a huge fan of mag. I drove mag roads, working for the districts, and my rust went up a lot. Pulled in my driveway all the time, pulled in my garage, and it would fall off, and then I started seeing my concrete changing. So there are effects of mag chloride and the strength it takes to do this.
Okay.
Greg, isn't this one of the streets that we're gonna chip and spray?
Yes,
We got it on
we've
foot.
had a hard time finding the roller. The roller, reasonably priced roller, the closest one we found was Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yep. The other ones we're finding in this area around $100,000. So
What's it take to haul one here?
I don't know, but that's the hang that we're having is finding a roller. The TAC unit, the TAC application unit we found, there's a company that makes a 1,000-gallon skid unit, $70,000. But they're 4 months out. So we wouldn't be able to get it for about 4 weeks. It's still on our plate, but it's just a matter of finding the equipment. So renting a roller as well. And they're all spoken for through July.
So the same citizen, they said they don't like to be, they're not a complainer, and but they feel pretty strongly about the mag chloride. So they just replaced their siding to the tune of $40,000 because it was stained by the dust from the road. And then the same citizen also brought up that, putting an asphalt road over Poplar and down into Sage and stuff without curb and gutter would be less costly, but I think that our ordinances say that we have to put in curb and gutter, don't they?
I would have to review it on that. I believe so, but I'm not willing to say yes for sure without reviewing the ordinance.
Because if that's not an option, too, then without curb and gutter.
The other problem is, it was $187,000 for the mill overlay on this section out here on North 7th. And the work we did, the 6-inch mat we put down on First Avenue. So you're looking at a couple $100,000 to do both those streets without her. So.
Okay, well, it seems like you've already looked into the mag chloride.
I'll get a fresh quote just to make sure.
There's a whole lot of people in jails and prisons in Wyoming who really didn't mean to do anything wrong, but they screwed up and they did. But apparently Becky Hadlock and other elected officials in Wyoming are in fact above the law. At least that's what I think the governor showed us with his decision.
And I think he did too. And I think he makes it blatant by avoiding the clear violation of the law. The rest of it, you can, she got the testing done. It was at the last minute, at the last chance, and she failed it. But she did submit the report on the day, even though it was like 11:59 or whatever. Right. There's some ways you could finagle the other things. But he blatantly ignores the malicious intent and the felony committed.
And he jumps through so many hoops to let her off.
You already looked into the mag chloride.
I'll get a fresh quote just to make sure.
Okay.
And see if I can find out when they have the project in here.
Okay. Thank you for following up on that. So moving on to item number 2, city positions. I was speaking with our engineer, Chuck Bartlett. Chuck made a mention that I thought could use some personnel committee meeting to maybe discuss a little bit more in depth. But his suggestion was combining the building inspector and CSO positions. Because we don't keep our building inspector busy all the time. So if we were able to combine that position, we would have another person to look at our ordinance violations in town. So when they had, they could plan their schedule, so maybe they have some buildings to go and inspect, but then the rest of the day, they could go on and conduct some of the CSO type activities. And I thought it seemed like it was a good way to kill two birds with one stone. So I'd be interested in seeing what the personnel committee, that would be the correct committee, wouldn't it? It should go under personnel. We're trying to come up with a job description or.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, we have one scheduled for 4:30 on this Wednesday.
Excellent. Did you guys also discuss this topic?
It's on the agenda.
Oh, it's already on the agenda? Okay. Well, you're out ahead of me then. Thank you for that. Is there any questions? Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to investments. I just recently attended the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Conference, and I misspoke. I said at the last meeting that I thought that the LGLP might have some materials or training in regard to investments, but that's not true. I did bring a packet back and I can get copies for whoever wants them, but this is a list of all of the local government liability pool courses that they teach. So I can get Clerk Haggerty to make some copies for the rest of the council.
Yeah.
And then, but I also, in investments, we currently have some WyoStar investments. And since I've been on the council, I don't recall ever making any motions to move any money into the account or to take any money out. It's an investment that the town made at some point that we can get a return on, and then we can use those funds for projects in town. A lot of the small water districts and stuff that I work with in my day job utilize their WyoStar dividends to do little projects, and they move money in and out quite regularly. So the breakout session that I did attend is there is a proposal for a new investment account that's being put out to the state for public comment soon. It's called WyoStar 3, and it's investment in equities. But then I felt like I was in the wrong room because the minimum investment right now, as the rule is proposed, is $5 million. So you have to put $5 million in, and it has to stay in there for 5 years. And then if you take it out early, then it's a 5%.
You were in the wrong room.
So I felt like I made a mistake in picking classes. I thought I was going to learn more about WyoStar, but some of the representatives from WyoStar, the folks that work on it in the state, were there. So I got some of their contact information so I can follow up with the rules for taking money in and out. And I'm not 100%, Stacy. Is it a WyoStar 1 or WyoStar 2 account that we have?
We are a WyoStar 1.
WyoStar 1. So WyoStar 1 is short-term investments, so there might be an angle we can work there to either put more money in when we have a surplus, or we can take out some of the revenue that we've incurred. So, and then also in being in the class, I met the director, Joan Evans, for Wyoming Government Investment Fund, and she said that she would be willing to come up to Newcastle or maybe a Zoom class or something to give the council some, it's no cost to us, some training on some of the investments that might be options for us if we wanted to try to invest some of our money that we just sit on a lot of the time. So I think it would be worth hearing what she has to say, so I'll try to schedule a workshop in the near future so that maybe we can talk to her about it. Does anybody have any questions on investments? Okay, moving on to Wyoming Business Council and the Harvard Growth Lab. As I told you, Council, at the last meeting on the 10th, we had a kickoff meeting for our economic development study that we're doing with the Wyoming Business Council in partnership with the Harvard Growth Lab. We met here in the council chambers at 10 a.m. We had our kickoff meeting. There was representatives from some of our larger businesses, like the Honor Conservation Camp was in attendance, and then we had Councilwoman McCauley was there, and Councilman Butts was there, as well as myself, and then the representatives from the Wyoming Business Council. And we just kind of had a short session where we discussed, some of the ideas that have come through town in the past, and things that we wanted to do for our community in regard to economic development. Walter took video of the whole, I think he even streamed it.
He ran out of time at the end.
Did he run out of time at the end? Okay. So then after that concluded at about 11 o'clock, because we ended up going long, we took a walk down Main Street and went and talked with some of the business owners on Main Street. And then later that afternoon, we met with Weston County Health Services and the school district. Brad LaCoy came to my office and met with some of we split the meeting because somebody forgot that they were supposed to meet. And then there was some discussion had about some of the challenges that we're facing. And it seemed like a lot of the larger business owners in town kind of feel like housing is one of our biggest obstacles. At Weston County Health Services, Kathy, she talked about if she could add to town right now another 12 units, like little studio apartments or something, it would really go a long way to helping some of the traveling nurses that they have coming into the community from having to stay in some of the older structures that we have in town. And then there was also a meeting with Pam Gualtieri and the Economic Development Board. That's why we had to split. So I met with Brad LaCoy and then Randy Harlow, Business Council, met with the former mayor and talked to her about her Economic Development Board. So it was really preliminary. It was just so that the people could get kind of a feel for our town, and then talk to some of the business owners about challenges and successes, so that they could compile that data and use it towards future suggestions. So that's all I have to report on that. Does anybody have any questions?
I just thought it was really, I liked it. I thought, it was nice to see with them. And are they gonna get back with us on?
Yeah, this study is kind of an extended study, and so I'm sure that they'll even be back to visit again in the future. But like I said, it was just like a preliminary meeting. And then they would also be interested in meeting with some of the other larger employers in town, like Wyoming Refining Company via Zoom, if you guys want to set that up, or we can be in touch on that as we move forward. I thought it was a great meeting too. I felt good when we were done, and it kind of opened my eyes to some of the challenges that some of the larger employers in town have identified. Is there any Questions? Okay, moving forward, Boys and Girls Club. I've been in correspondence with, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, Brittany Locken, she's the director of the Boys and Girls Club in Gillette. We kind of had a little pause and fire for a little bit because she's on maternity leave. She has had a youngin', so, but she's been back in touch with me, moving forward with trying to get a Boys and Girls Club for our community. She sent me a copy of a needs assessment that we'll need to do to see if we're a good candidate. And then she also would like to meet with Tamara Allen with the Double Aces program, yeah, and Summer Rec. So that's I believe the next step is going to be trying to get them into a meeting so that we can discuss what a partnership with their organization would look like, and then do the needs assessment to move forward. So I'm going to continue to work on that and see where it goes. I just want to let the council know my activity. Does anybody have any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to Pocket Park on Main Street. So in the past, I know that I talked to some council members and even the prior mayor that lot next to Cashbox Ceramics, that they weren't willing to move forward with that or do anything with that lot. Well, during our walk on Main Street with Business Council, we went and visited the Cashbox Ceramics and talked to Linda and Leonard Cash, and I rebroached the subject, and they said that they would be willing to work with the city to maybe let us lease the land for, a small dollar amount, like $1 a year, $1 for 10 years, I don't know. We had to talk to them about it a little bit more, but then we can clean up the weeds and then maybe utilize that space. And so with all of the mention of volunteerism in the community, I would like to do a lot of the work using volunteer labor so that the city doesn't have to incur a lot of cost. Yeah, and just there's a lot of people that are tired of seeing the weeds growing up through the fence and that lot not being utilized for a good purpose. And I don't know if the council has any thoughts on that, but it's been something that's been on my mind for a long time.
We're just sitting there doing nothing, it looks like hell, so
Yeah.
I'm probably up here for doing something.
I think it could be cute, open that up and clean it up, and we could do something in it.
Did you hear my idea?
Yes, I heard you say that.
Big swing, just a, whoa.
So, I mean, well, just on Main Street, having a place where, we have some benches or, I had some ideas too. If we were able to secure this, which I talked to Dublin about looking into a lease agreement, and then I need to finish negotiating with the Cashes. But, and also what kind of disclaimers we need for volunteer labor and like ages, things of that nature. So
I think once it got cleaned up, it wouldn't take much to keep it cleaned up,
So
I think once it got cleaned up, it wouldn't take much to keep it cleaned up,
yeah, especially if we used like some methods to keep like weed barrier or something.
Maybe you could take that chair off the Seneca too and put it there.
That is a comfy looking chair. We could put that. Anyway, do we have, does anybody else have any, ideas or discussion on pocket parks on Main? If it comes to fruition, there's a lot of variables right now.
I like the name Rocket Park. That's cool.
It's a neat idea.
No further questions? No questions? Okay, that's all I had, council. Moving on to department head reports. Item number 1, clerk treasurer Stacy Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first item is, I just wanted to let the council know that we have a water committee meeting scheduled for just after this meeting to discuss our contract customers' rates. We'll meet after the regular meeting. On the financial reports that I sent out, we are currently looked to be over budget in our garbage fund. That is due to the $150,000 we sent to the escrow account for the landfill to DEQ. As this is sitting in an escrow account, I guess, Attorney Hughes, I'm not sure if this is requiring a budget amendment or how that needs to be looked at.
So just to clarify again, how much is it? It's over budget, correct?
The fund itself is.
Okay, so it's technically in excess of what is required of it?
I apologize.
It's in excess of what's required for that?
We have more in it than we need.
Well, no, we have over expense.
Over budget.
Because of the $150,000 that's in an escrow account to DEQ for that landfill.
And if I may, if we don't use all that money, it does come back to us. So
What would we use it for?
it's primarily for the engineering and our portion of the engineering for the landfill water remediation.
We're gonna hold our breath on it coming back.
How much are we over?
Well, currently, when I sent out the financials, it was $40,499.92.
Yeah, we gotta send some cop cars back, that's all I'm saying.
This is in the garbage fund, unfortunately.
Now, I haven't purchased them yet.
But, so, okay, just out of curiosity, we need that much money, right? Where would we come up with that much money?
Well, we do have revenue in the garbage fund to cover that. Like I said, I didn't know if we needed to look at doing a budget amendment since it's kind of due to that escrow account.
Well, the governing body, under an interfund loan, I guess you could do that. The other thing is that you could also do a transfer of unencumbered or unexpended appropriation balances. And these are just, Stacy, these are the statutes that I was looking at.
Yes, I was.
So any unencumbered or unexpended appropriation balance, I don't know if there's anything that stands out for that. And that can go from one fund, department, or account to another. I guess if there's revenue in the garbage portion of it, how much does that entail, basically?
So my revenue is about a little bit over 300,000 over what we expected. So there is plenty of revenue.
Okay.
So what we need to do is just amend the budget? Is that what you're getting at, Councilman, or?
Well, it depends on the designation. So the garbage fund, right? What is its status, as it applies to, whether we call it is it a special fund?
It's an enterprise fund.
Okay. why don't you give me a look and you can continue and I'll try and figure this out before the end of when I come up. Does that work for you?
That sounds good. Attorney Hughes. Do you have anything further?
I apologize. The last item I have is I did get updates to our ordinance books. And I have updated every book that's up here. But if anybody else has books that need updated, if you'd like to bring them in. And that's all I have.
Okay, and I could actually use that as a segue on something that I missed. I also was able to get the information for American Legal Publishing. They look at communities' ordinance books and then remove a lot of the fluff like we've been talking about. That's all. But I'm sure that their services cost something. But it's something that we can explore. But they were in attendance at the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Conference. Does anybody have any questions for Clerk Treasurer Haggerty? Okay, moving on to item number 2, Public Works Supervisor Greg Stump.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item, 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs are up on 2nd Avenue. We've had trouble getting our monitoring and reporting requirements from Region 8 EPA. They are supposed to have them to us in February. We still haven't received them. We contacted EPA to find out what is going on. They told us they're not ready yet to send them to us. And I said, well, we're approaching another quarter, and we're on quarterly monitoring at the tune of $6,000 a quarter for well 5. They did a reduced monitoring on well 5, so we only have annual sampling to do now instead of quarterly. So we satisfied their requirements for that. We did find out we are on annual sampling for lead and copper sampling. So we will be doing that this summer. Again, about $1,800 for sampling to do that one. But we are trying to work with EPA to figure this out because they basically said that their staff was cut, and that's why we haven't seen it yet. So, we do have the farmers market coming up June 19th. We'll be closing the road at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's on North Summer. Or by the parking lot. We have the all-school reunion coming up quickly. We are going to spend the next couple of weeks.
Not Pinnacle. Just so I'm sorry.
First Northern Bank. We have the all-school reunion coming up, so we'll be doing extra work on Main Street for the next couple of weeks. Painting curbs, getting banners up, cleaning everything up, sweeping, flushing, that sort of stuff. Just to inform you, we did find out the garbage truck we ordered won't be here until December. As far as the parks go, we do have 2 part-time employees. One of them is working 2 days a week. One is working 3 hours per day, each day, to help us with the right-of-ways and some of the extra stuff we do. We did end up getting one more seasonal that we put into the parks as well. The trench drain here on East Main, we had to over-excavate the area because the soil next to the drain box was so wet we couldn't compact it. So they had to over-excavate and haul in drier material back. So that one's taking a little longer than we anticipated. We did receive the interest rate decrease from the State Lands and Investment Board on 3 of our loans. The Highway 16 pathway has become quite difficult to move forward on. Just to inform you, with the requirements YDOT has for the project after their first reviews, has already increased the project by over $300,000. So we're at $1.3 million, we would have to come up with $300,000. Anything over $1 billion the TAP grant will only cover 1 million. Anything over 1 million, we have to pay out of our own pocket, plus our match funds, which would be $100,000. So we're looking at around 400,000 right now. We haven't even finished the white hot reviews yet. The application period ends July 15th. It's open right now. It ends July 15th. Without having the finalized approved plan set from WIDOT, we are likely not going to get the grant if we submit an application this year for it. They were supposed to have the plans done in September last year. We've had conversations with the engineering firm, and they're trying to get it done, but I don't see us getting it done by July 15th. So in lieu of the Highway 16 pathway project to Morrissey, I would like to look at another project that was on our master plan. I talked to the previous city engineer out of doing the project because of the age of the water line that was going to be over top of the pathway. We're talking about the one on the back of your sheet along South Summit. It is part of our master plan. It was supposed to be part of the Duff Avenue project. But with that section between Cedar and Oak water line breaking all the time, I didn't want to put $500,000 worth of concrete on the ground and have to dig through it or tear it up trying to get to our water main. We have since replaced that water main, and my recommendation would be this year we put in a request for grant funds to do the engineering on this project along South Summit.
How far does that go?
The South Summit pathway is 2,300 feet. We have no easements with WIDOT. It's our property, so it makes that easier. The Highway 16 pathway is 4,100 feet. We have, I think, 8 driveways to cross on this one. The one on Highway 16, I think there was 22 driveways to cross. So I think we can afford this project in like 27 or 28 if we wanted to move forward with the engineering and hold off on the Morrissey Road pathway until a later date when we have time to get most money or we fund our portion of it. We could likely get this project funded primarily because of the close distance to the grade school. These are pathways to school money is what they're looking for, so it would increase our chances since it is within 2 miles of a school.
So since we've already been working on the Morrissey pathway project, but now it's got some budget limitations and it's going to cost so much more.
And we don't have a finalized set of plans.
So, I guess we would need to entertain a motion to move forward with switching gears.
Yes. Road changing, a prior motion, yes.
So, does the council entertain a motion to switch gears and look at a different project since the current pathways project that we've been working on isn't feasible at this time?
I have a question. Do I ask the council?
Go ahead.
So were we gonna piggyback on some road work on that road?
Yes, that's why.
Yeah. Were we gonna do that? So are we gonna tear up something that's gonna get done?
We would most likely be in the 2028 construction season for this project because in 2025, we would get the funding, 26, we would do the engineering and apply for it in 27. We would most likely be the 2028 construction season for this project, because in 2025, we would get the funding, 26, we would do the engineering and apply for it in 27. 27 would be the end of the construction season 28 for this project. The YDOT mill and overlay is scheduled for 2027. So if the asphalt project to be done first, we have the water main replaced underneath where this is going. So it's...
It all work together?
It'll all work out.
I just don't want to tear something up that,
And that's why I didn't want to move forward with it with bad water. Driving back trucks across sidewalks don't work very well.
I move for now that we close down the Morrissey Road project going out towards the west of town, and we redo our project going to the east on Summit.
I second.
So we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried.
Thank you, Council. That Highway 16 pathway has just eaten up a bunch of my time recently, and I'd rather just, without a clean set of plans and without a finalized bid package, yeah, I'm at the 11th hour with this deal already. So. The only other thing I have, I will be on vacation next week. I will not have cell service at all.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm going into the middle of the big ones.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just.
I think that's wonderful. That's a good thing.
Have fun on your PTO, right?
Now, before you go, we should have one of your subordinates give him a little note that he should put the mirror on the post by the Episcopal Church.
We're working on the YDOT application.
Okay.
So we have to apply for an encroachment permit.
Okay.
We're working through the process along with the J3 sites.
And then I have one question for you, Greg. I brought it up a while ago. One of my constituents approached me about that light pole that looks like it's probably part of Powder River Energies off of Stirrup.
Oh, the light itself?
Yeah, the light pole that doesn't have a light that works on it, and the pole just never got removed.
I think they fixed the light.
Did they fix the light?
Yeah, we contacted Powder River about it, and they said they'd take care of it. So I haven't been out there tonight to check yet, so.
Well, maybe I'll drive by there tonight to see if there's a light working.
Yeah, because they said they were gonna get it repaired.
Okay, excellent. Well, then I don't have any further questions. Does anybody else? Yep.
So you're just saying, you know, you got people that come talk to you, you got a couple of neighbors that come talk to me that over in my area too, is at the house or at my garage, and they have to come in, stop and visit. So the comments come up again about, you know, what can we do about doing something with rodeo? So we sat down for a while and tried to explain to them some of our priority projects that we got going on, what it was gonna take to fix that street. That project's in with the kind of water line in Sheridan Street. I know you had been over there to kind of patch some work that's been done, putting those water taps in and everything, which kind of helps, but it's been kind of off and on. I'll get people that'll stop by and see me and, you know, what are we doing about the repairs for rodeo, and trying to get them to understand what we're trying to do for priorities. Hopefully I got some of that answered for them, but obviously as they drive up and down, that's always going to be in the back of their mind. So I don't know if there's anything in the works, you know, if we got something that's coming through the area that we're doing road framing that we can mill and lay it right back down.
We've talked about doing the mill, or milling it up and just using having road millings. My concern is the same concern we have on the gravel roads. It will be dusty. So then we would need to do dust control. or take dust complaints. Right now, our master capital improvements plan, we have that one slated for 2029. I need to review the figures on the projects with some of the later projects we've had. Back then, it was $4.2 million water, sewer, and street project, and $1.2 million of that was the street portion. Because the geotech report basically said what we did on Frontier, Stockade, Highland, Cascade, portion of Cascade that's already done, that would be the same treatment for this one. We have to over excavate 4 feet of material. And geogrid, drain tile down the sides, and then J-base on top, and then asphalt or concrete to finish it off. The problem with trying to pay for a $1.2 million project out of our general fund is we don't have $1.2 million to put into it. Looking at different things, I'm looking at, I'm waiting for the federal government to figure out what they're doing. So we can hopefully plan to apply for, they changed the name of it. Now it was a RAISE grant, now it's a BUILD grant. We can apply for funding for a street project. It's the only funding there is for street projects on the federal level. The only other thing we can do is a loan through, say, USDA at 4.15% interest for the $1 million or $1.2 million. So we're trying to come up with a way to fund that street portion in order to move the project forward. Water and sewer, that's easy enough. We have SLIB, we have MRG. Right now, that's pretty much it. They shut down all the federal grants. But how do we pay for the street portion? That's a very difficult part of this whole thing. Meantime, we can do a mill, we can mill it and lay it back down. We want to rent a sizable loader or a bigger roller than what we have. Because that was one of the things we found out on East Road is we did not get enough compaction for a little roller. So we need a larger roller. That's not that big deal, but to rent one. It'd be about between $2,000 and $3,000 to rent one.
And they were all, in the kind of acceptance that we've got a plan. It's in the plan, obviously it's gonna be down the road because of the priorities that we got in there. Once I was able to sit down with them and explain to them what it was gonna cost for that project and where it's at within the plan of getting that in the project mode. It's just in their piece of what can we do in the meantime while we're waiting for that turn to come out. So again, I just hope, I bring it up again, see if there's something I can do to ease that whole.
And we're kind of waiting for the, kind of waiting for the weather to change a little bit, so we don't get rainstorms every week, because once we do this, if we don't get enough moisture on it to compact it, if we get too much moisture on it while it's milled up, yeah, it's gonna be a muddy mess. It will stream black mud everywhere. So we're concerned about the weather right now. If we can get it compacted well enough, under control of the amount of water, it'll work a lot better. But if we get an inch of rain in an hour, it's over. We'll have to do something really different. You better shut the entire thing down, let it dry out, and then go back in and try and get it compacted.
Okay. And just go in there and bring it up if there was something that we hadn't looked at, but I think they were more appreciative of the information and we were able to sit down and explain it to them what we've been dealing with over the last, at least the last 5 years.
And no, we have people call the office all the time. If want to contact me, they're more than welcome to it. I can sit down and show them some of the costs. I'll revisit the estimated cost, hopefully before the next council. And we'll see what we got.
Yeah, you won't be there.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments for Public Works? So you put a meter pit in front of Vern Snyder's old house on Wentworth?
Yes.
So 2 days I saw a backhoe tripping a bucket of dirt, 3 miles round trip.
I addressed that. I told them they need to drive, they need to bring a dump truck. I don't know why they were doing that, but that would be the best way to do it. It isn't. We did address it with employees who were doing it. And, that should not happen.
And they also block traffic, fuel in the backhoe. So shouldn't the backhoe be fueled up before and afterward?
I did not know about that.
And I have a picture if you want. I'm pretty stickler on pictures.
Did not know they ran out of fuel on Main Street.
Well, I didn't say they ran out of fuel. They ran out, they topped the fuel off in front of Vern's old house.
Oh,
But they parked in the road.
okay.
And then the other thing I have is, so a citizen approached me about the weeds on the road, the walk paths out by the bank and in the right of way and all this out there, like around the four-way stop. And so I went and got him and we went for a drive. I wasn't sure exactly what he was talking about, but I saw it and witnessed it. And then that's when I call him Ray. But Ray Ader's out there and he's on his own mower, on his own time and his own fuel. And he doesn't even live in town. The guy's not even a town citizen. So I really feel that we need to do something, whether we compensate him for his fuel and his time and his equipment, whatever, but he was doing it on his own time. And then last meeting, John brought it up about, we were talking about summer help, the lack of summer help. And John mentioned, well, what does it pay if you had somebody do that work? Well, just like Mr. Ator, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are of his age that wouldn't mind doing something like that, but I don't see why we couldn't hire them as contract labor and let them run the equipment and do that.
The two people that have contacted me, we hired them.
So
one started last week, one started today.
But didn't you say one sit for 3 hours?
And they worked
I
3
mean, it
hours.
would take, how long would it take for him to get to the job and then go back?
Not very long. From the stage equipment at the cemetery, you're probably talking 15, 20 minutes to get out to that area. You know.
I don't
So
have a
that's-
problem with compensating him, but he did do it on his own time. He did do it free will. A lot of people do things, they volunteer, and that's what we should all be doing, I think. I mean, it's nice, I'm not against reimbursing him, but it's kind of like what the mayor said, if everybody would volunteer a little bit on certain things instead of feeling like they had to be paid. Just saying.
Well, and there's some issues with the LGLP and volunteers and stuff like this. There's liability issues involved with it as well. And that's what the LGLP is concerned about, them using our mowers.
But I mean, with what he did,
And, yeah,
I'm not against
Mr. Torrey never even contacted.
but apparently he did it because he wanted to.
Councilman Downs, it seems like that would be a good person to recommend for a nomination the next council meeting.
John already did.
Yeah.
Oh,
did
that was
tonight.
tonight? That was tonight?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we sure do appreciate citizens that do things like that, so. Was there any further discussion?
One quick, well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for getting lower interest rates on 3 of our SRF loans. And then over here it says, we've been patching potholes between storms. We have begun searching for equipment.
Oh,
And we'd like to spend 130 grand. What sort of equipment are you
that's
talking
that river tire roller and the applicator for the chip seal.
about? Okay,
Sir.
all right. So that's what
I must not have corrected that very well.
Okay,
I apologize.
thank you.
So the person that we nominated for recognition, it's Ray Ader or Ken. Ken?
His official name is Kenneth Ray Ader.
Okay. All right,
Now
now,
he goes by Ray or Ken, either one.
okay, now I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Does anybody else have any questions for Public Works Supervisor?
I have one other thing. So the patching you guys are doing, I mean, even on rodeo, it's better. But there are some of the places that did patch is still low. I mean, they could have put more material in. And then a few of the other streets where they've been, but then there's still holes that they didn't do when they were on that street.
We're working on that one.
Okay. And then the other thing I had was the Jake brake signs, they're not up.
No, we can't put them up.
But the ordinance is enforced, correct?
I do not believe we can enforce it until the signs go up.
Oh, I thought we voted on it and put it on.
Oh, yeah, we voted.
I was gonna talk about that tonight. So I can talk about it now if you want, or. So the chief and I had a discussion, and this was an oversight on my part. In the section, I had assumed that the penalty provisions at the end of each of the sections, there's quite a few chapters that have it. You know, it states, basically the court can impose a fine anywhere up to $750. Each of the ordinances, as it applies to the bond schedule with the Jake brake ordinance, they have their own individual penalty amount. So I'm going to be requesting tonight that I be able to amend that ordinance to actually have, instead of just citing people for a ticket that they then have to do nothing for. Because that's a stance right now, that's what it is.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on if nobody has anything further for Public Works Supervisor Drexel. Okay, moving on to Police Chief Derek Thompson.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
Okay, moving on to Police Chief Derek Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, my first item is the calls for service between June 2nd and today. Newcastle Police Department 127, Weston County Sheriff's Office 134, Upton Police Department 0, Newcastle Volunteer Fire Department 5, Upton Volunteer Fire Department 2, Newcastle Ambulance 12, and Upton Ambulance 0. We already started to touch on it, but I did add the Jake brake ordinance in there. We need to have something added into that ordinance as Dublin stated, establishing a fine amount, at least a maximum fine amount, and then we need to establish as to whether it's a bondable or must appear citation and what the bond would be for it. Once we have those things done, we should be able to go forward with enforcing it. And Dublin, correct me if I'm wrong, but you did say you're gonna have to amend it.
Yeah, so in the section itself, it doesn't have any penalty. So one of the things that it would be required of, especially seeing that all the other ordinances have a section for a penalty in each of them in that chapter. it would also require its own individual penalty, which I presume the council would just have it as the same as it is for all the other traffic violations, but that was something we can discuss.
So in the process of amending it, the one thing I was thinking of is adding something to it that states, that would clarify what specific roadways are excluded. Because I think it may be wise to exclude that section of Highway 85 that goes north of the four-way stop up to the city limits. I don't know how the council feels about that, but the reason for that is an extremely steep hill coming off there. And that's pretty dangerous to not allow a truck to run a big right through that area. There's quite a bit of traffic in there. So I think that would be wise to exclude that particular area. So it would only maybe word the ordinance in such a way that no jake brakes are allowed where the signs are posted, or just exclude that section of the roadway, maybe the simplest, I guess.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, our plan for that one, the jake brake sign wouldn't go in until York Street. No, not York. Houston.
Okay.
So where you turn off the road to Bendigo Bank, that's where the first jake brake sign will be.
Okay.
So I had the same.
So they should be slowed
concern.
down enough by that point.
Yeah, by that time they're supposed to be at a 35-mile-an-hour speed, so they should be able to stop their truck without a jake brake for the 1 block there. But that's why we did move it down the roadways, because we had the same concern.
Right. 185 north.
Yes.
And the only other item I had was just an update on the hiring. We have received several more calls from potential candidates for employment. So far, all the applications that have been sent out have not been returned, filled out. Seems to be an issue with once we tell them what the wages are, they are turned away. So we probably need to, we did have a police committee meeting and discuss those items, but we didn't feel like we had quite enough information yet to move forward. So we're working on getting a little bit better idea of where we need to be, I guess, salary wise. And that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for Chief Council?
No, but I have something to say.
Go
And I
ahead.
will come to the podium, please, and it's on your jake brake ordinance. Okay. Now, you're talking about North 85. Well, it's a good thing I stayed stopped today that the oversized load lost his brakes. All a jake brake is, it's an air compressor that slows the engine down to help the brakes for the oversized loads that come down. And it lost its brakes because you had no jake brake sign previous to that. And it took clear to the old Pope and Talbot turnoff before that guy could get that truck under control. And they had to get him all new brakes. And these engine brakes are not meant for, everybody, they're noisy and all this. They're meant for safety. They're not for noise. And that truck could have wiped out a lot of cars. He had one of those huge dump box trailers for the mine on it. And I'm going to tell you what, I pray to God that he did not kill anybody with that big truck. So that's what a jake brake's for. All it does is turn your engine into a slow down brake. It cools the motor, it cools your brakes on the back of your oversized loads, and that's what a jake brake is for. And everybody thinks, and you better check with Wild too, because there's a section in the book. I don't remember what I was told by the truck driver. There's a section that they use their jake brakes on steep inclines
or like your bypass, when you have an oversized load come down there, big loads, those people should be using their engine brakes, because they could kill a lot of people if they was all their other brakes and they burn up. The engine brake is to slow those loads down so they don't burn up all their other brakes. That is what a Jake brake is. So you need to talk to Cheyenne, or whoever it is that takes care of this stuff, because those engine brakes are legal, and they are to slow down those big trucks. You have a load of cows on, you better have an engine brake, because those cows are heavy.
Thank you for your concern and comment.
It's not a concern. I've seen truck drivers lose their lives thanks to people and let's put a sign up and get rid of the engine brake. Your Jake brakes. You guys want to get rid of them, that's fine.
But the city didn't put that sign up.
No, I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying the city didn't put that sign up on 85.
I know, Mrs. Whitley.
Somebody else did.
Mrs. Whitley complained about it years and years ago. I know who put that up there. But you know, they don't like the noise of the engine brakes. But it's gonna save somebody's life in future reference.
Well, we're not putting an ordinance on 85.
Okay, well, consider your bypass too, if you have, you know, like people that drive Dodge trucks have engine brake. Consider that to be a small load, you know. But it saves on their brakes too, but let's say we have a big load come down off of the bypass and they have to slow down, you know.
They should be going.
That's what their transmission's for.
They should be going 30 through there anyway.
That's right.
Semi-trucks are totally different than regular cars.
I actually hold a Class A CDL, which is one that I run engine retarders and Jake brakes. And I understand what they're for. Citizens brought it to our attention last year in regard to the noise. It's something that we're going to address. And
I know you're going to
so we do
address the
appreciate
noise.
your comment.
It's my concern for people's safety.
Okay.
It's not what I hear. It's I want to be safe on the road with these people.
Okay, we understand.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and move on to the meeting. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Chief Thompson? I think we were still on Chief Thompson.
We're still on Chief.
Chief, does anybody have any questions for Chief? No? Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4, Attorney Dublin Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In that same vein, as it applies to the amendment of the Jake brake ordinance, I guess would the council want to entertain that amendment include just the same boilerplate language for penalties as it does for the rest of the traffic violations?
What is it?
It's basically up to the judge's discretion, but it goes all the way up to $750.
Yeah, why not?
I make a motion that we make it the same as the rest of them.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion properly seconded to amend our proposed Jake brake ordinance. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Well, while the bypass is closed right now, the police could be busy all day on Main Street with Jake, just the Jake brake. Because those guys are coming off the hill up here and they're doing 30 all the way through and they're hammering their Jake brake. And then when they get past the tracks, they just gun it. Every day, all day.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, council. As it applies to the areas within the city that it would not be specifically enforced, I realize that we could have couched this in one motion, but just for simplicity's sake. Does the council entertain any specific roadway areas as to where this ordinance wouldn't be enforced? Obviously, the chief said the north part of Highway 85. The bypass, in theory, I think actually could be excluded as well. It just kind of depends on what the council wants.
That 85 is the only one I think of.
And that's not in the city.
Anybody think of any other roadways? No? Okay. So Highway 85 north is what we're, okay.
Council, the last thing that I wanted to bring up was over the enterprise fund discussion. So there is a statute, it's 16-4-105. It's accumulated retained earnings or fund surplus, capital improvements reserve. The municipality may accumulate retained earnings in any enterprise or intergovernmental service fund or accumulate a fund surplus in any other fund. With respect to the general fund, the accumulated fund balance may be used to meet any legal obligation of the municipality. So I suspect what that's saying is that you can actually pull from any accumulated earnings and take it into the general fund to meet any legal obligation, whatever that might be. It also says provide cash to finance expenditures from the beginning of the budget year, provide a reserve to meet emergency expenditures, or provide a reserve by carry over from one biennium to another of any surplus generated by community service. Yada yada. That's not relevant. I think probably what you end up having to do is there probably has to be a transfer of, well, no, that's an appropriation balance. Stacy, how quickly would you need this to happen?
And that's, to be honest, I believe it's just before we close out our fiscal year, which we're still paying into July for fiscal year expenditures.
Okay. And this isn't something.
I can try to do a little more research too, maybe reach out to some other treasurers.
And Stacy, you said that there isn't, it's not going to be some sort of issue with the general fund budget increase, right?
No, it's just an expenditure out of the garbage fund.
Okay.
And again, we do have revenue in the garbage fund.
Okay. I think under those circumstances, actually that wouldn't apply either because we're not getting above what the general fund is. I think I probably should take a look at that, and then we can get back to it if we need to. We could do an emergency meeting on that just before it's July 1st, correct? And I think that's everything. I did want to bring up one other thing, which is one of the council members, gave me notice more or less on a new act which was codified into law on July 1st. I can't remember the specific act, but it basically allows for the concealed carry of firearms into actual government meetings. I'm still looking into actually what can and cannot be allowed under those rules. And I just wanted to let the council know of kind of what's going on at my office as of right now as it applies to that. I think that with that there comes some issues in terms of litigation as it applies to employees, and there might be some amendments required for the personnel policies. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Does anybody have any further questions for Attorney Hughes? Hearing none, we'll move on to claims against the city dated June 16th, 2025. We have a motion to pay the bills.
Your Honor, I move that this August organization pay its bills.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Pay for claims against the city. Do we entertain a motion for adjournment?
Also move. Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. We're adjourned at 8:50 p.m.